Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Annetta Felix. We begin with the judiciary, where the Federal High Court has ordered the arrest of former National Intelligence Agency Director General Ayo Oke and his wife Folashade Oke. The order followed an application by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, asking the court to issue a bench warrant for their arrest. The commission explained in the application that its findings, it's difficult to secure the attendance of the couple in court. Ruling the matter on Thursday, Justice Chukwujeku Aneke said after proper consideration of the oral application by the EFCC, he is convinced beyond reasonable doubt that the said application is meritorious. Justice Aneke said, quote, "It is hereby ordered that Ambassador Ayodele Oke and his wife Folashade Oke be arrested anywhere they have been cited in the world. Oke and his wife are facing 4 charges bordering on money laundering." After 3 months away from school, Nigerian university students are hoping for good news as delegates of the federal government and Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU meet in Abuja today. This will be the 10th meeting between both parties as they make efforts to resolve the issues that led to the strike in public universities. At the end of the meeting, chaired by Minister of Employment Chris Ngige, Nigerians will find out the results of the referendum exercise conducted by the education body on the offers of the president. Meanwhile, ASU President Biodun Ogunyemi has maintained that progress is being made with every meeting held. He has pledged that when both parties reach a final agreement, it will be to the favor of every stakeholder in the education sector. Ahead of the coming general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is leaving no stone unturned in its quest to ensure peace during and after the polls. On this backdrop, the Commission has now reviewed laws and guidelines in the conduct of elections in the country. Now, this next report gives more details.
With preparations in final gear for the general elections, Nigeria's electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has amended regulations and guidelines for the conduct of elections in the country. The amendment rewrites the duration for the conduct of rerun polls in the case of an inconclusive election. At a press briefing in Imo State, Southeast Nigeria, INEC National Commissioner in charge of publicity, Festus Okoye, reveals that rerun elections will now be conducted in 21 days after the original polls as against the initial 7 days law.
Prior to this particular period, the Constitution provides that for you to become the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or to you to be elected, you must score the majority of lawful votes cast in the election and also score a quarter of the votes cast in 2/3 of all the states of the Federation. The Constitution provides that in the absence of any candidate meeting this threshold, there will be a second election, and that second election must be organized by the Independent National Electoral Commission within a period of 7 days. So the Commission made a representation to the National Assembly to the effect that even within 7 days, the Commission wouldn't have even finished what we call reverse logistics. That is, recalling all the materials and personnel that were used in conducting the first elections, and that it will be next to impossibility to remobilize and go and conduct a second election within a period of 7 days of the first election. It was based on that these provisions were amended. So the Commission has now been given a total of 21 days within which to conduct a second election in case nobody meets the constitutional stipulation for becoming a president or a governor within this constitutional framework.
The Commission also addressed the attack on its Abia office by hoodlums who set the building ablaze, destroying several permanent voters' cards. Okoye says efforts are in place to reprint the burnt PVCs and distribute them to their owners.
As a commission, we thought that the era of burning the local government offices of the commission had come to an end. We did not know that some people will still attempt to go and burn local government offices of the Independent National Electoral Commission. The resident electoral commissioner has been asked to compile the names and the list of all the burnt PVCs and forward to the commission headquarters. If it is possible within the available time to reprint those PVCs that were burnt, the commission will reprint those PVCs and find a way of making sure that the people who own these PVCs and who are ready to collect those PVCs do come forward and collect them. We want to reiterate the fact that we are not going to distribute PVCs by proxy. The owners of the PVCs must collect these PVCs in person, and any individual or any group found to be distributing PVCs through proxy will be arrested and prosecuted.
The entire world will focus on the most populous black nation in Africa when its citizens go to polls on February 16. Election observation missions from various international bodies have begun to arrive the country, with the latest being that of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. Head of the ECOWAS mission, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and former Liberian president, at this meeting with INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, explains the purpose of her visit.
The purpose of my visit is to meet with the authorities, to meet with the chairman, his colleagues, the honorable commissioners, to meet with other of the authorities for the election process, so that I understand even more than what I've read as a means of preparation to be a part of this process. I've had the opportunity to meet with the team from ECOWAS, to meet with the initial observation team that have already done an initial assessment, and I look forward to meeting others, particularly the party leaders, so that I can leave here ready to return with more knowledge when I come back with the full team sometime next week.
Mahmoud once again pledged INEC's commitment to ensuring free and credible elections.
I want to assure you that as we approach the 2019 general elections, the Commission is not unaware that the eyes of the world are on Nigeria and on our elections. This Commission will not fail Nigerians, will not fail the sub-region, and will not fail the world. We are going to prove that what happened in 2015 was simply not a fluke, and that 2019 is also going to be yet another landmark in our democratic process. We look forward to the report of your committee, of your mission, and the recommendations that will arise from your observation of the process, because your recommendations will be very critical for us in forging ahead, in reviewing, reforming our processes and procedures so that elections keep getting better.
73 men are vying for the position of President of the Republic of Nigeria, and it seems that the battle is down to the front runners of the ruling APC and opposition PDP. But it is really up to Nigeria's 84 million registered voters to decide who represent them for the next 4 years. Fidele Aguncha, TV360 Nigeria.
Still on the Independent National Electoral Commission, the electoral body has maintained that it will not field any candidate from the All Progressives Congress in the forthcoming elections in Rivers State, and that's despite an appeal order for stay of execution on the nullification of the party primaries by a federal high court. INEC had omitted the candidates of the APC in its final list of candidates for electoral positions in the forthcoming polls in Rivers and Zamfara State, citing some court rulings. Following this decision, the party approached the appeal court in Port Harcourt, challenging the judgment of Justice Omotosho of the Federal High Court, which nullified all its primaries in Rivers State. Subsequently, the court ruled in its favor. Reacting to the court's judgment, INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Voter Education and Publicity, Festus Okoye, insists that the position of the Commission has not changed. Ahead of the 2019 general election, former Liberian President Helen Johnson Sirleaf has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and all political parties and Nigerians to set a good example for other African countries with respect to the 2019 election. Our correspondent reports that Johnson Sirleaf has led an ECOWAS election monitoring group to the office of the APC national chairman in Abuja to call for a free and fair election. All eyes are now on Nigeria as the country readies to vote in a new government less than 10 days from now. International election observers are trooping into the country to monitor the highly anticipated polls. And today, former Liberian President Helen Johnson Sirleaf has arrived in Nigeria, leading some ECOWAS election monitors. The first female African president paid a visit to the office of the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress APC, Adams Oshiomhole, where she called on all political players to adhere to the rules of the game.
We are part of the ECOWAS election observation mission. I've been asked by ECOWAS to head that mission. I'm honored to be able to do that and to serve Nigeria in any way. So thank you for the time you've allowed us to exchange some views on you.
The APC national chairman promised that his party will uphold the sanctity of the electoral laws and ensure the polls are peacefully held.
As West Africans, we are one and the same. If it's good for Nigeria, it's good for the region. And we have a duty not only to Nigerians, we recognize that we have a duty to all of black race, but in particular to the African nation and West Africa in particular. I'm happy that the West African nations have asked a personality of your level to lead the observer mission. And whatever you observe, if there's anything you think we can do differently as a political party, as Nigerians, to ensure that we continue to be an example to other countries. You have partners in us as APC, and I do hope that you find your visits fruitful and that your contributions helpful.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) had accredited 144 local and international electoral groups to monitor the 2019 elections in almost 12,000 polling units in Nigeria. With so many eyes on ground to cover the February 16th and March 2nd election, chances are high that INEC would deliver on its promise of a credible election. As the 2019 general elections draws nearer, the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, says it's introducing a newly developed GPS-enabled election tracker during the forthcoming general elections. The director of the center, Idayat Hassan, disclosed this during a media parley in Abuja. Idayat, who was represented by Yusuf Shamsuddin, the program manager of the center, says the tracker would enable accredited field observers to make unbiased and informed reports on the accreditation and voting processes.
In the course of our planning for this and to ensure that we're able to ease communication from our field observers, we've actually developed a GPS-enabled CDD election tracker, which will be deployed to accredited observers on election day and enable them to report on the accreditation and voting process. The tracker will also help us track, because it's a GPS-enabled tracker, and we also, for quality assurance purposes, we also ensure that the GPS tracker will help us to track and monitor the activities of the observers. And the essence of this is for the credibility of the information and data that we'll be receiving from these field observers on election day.
In a related development, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has announced the deployment of over 24,000 mobile police officers, 4,000 counter-terrorism operatives, and 8,000 personnel of the Special Protection Unit's personnel in various parts of the country. The police IG announced the deployment during a stakeholders meeting in Abuja on Thursday. The meeting was attended by the National Security Advisor, Babagana Mungano, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, election observers, among others. According to the police force, the special deployment will complement other personnel that will be stationed at polling units. Now, there's been a major shake-up in the Nigerian police force as the Police Service Commission has approved new appointments and redeployment of police commissioners across all 36 states of the country. Affected in this shake-up is Edgar Imohimi, who was removed as the Lagos State Commissioner of Police and replaced with Mazu Zubairu. A statement issued by the head, press and public relations of the Police Service Commission, Ikechukwani, shows Kayode Egbetoku, who was briefly appointed as a commissioner in Lagos, has now been redeployed to Kwara State. But despite this, FCT Commissioner Bala Chiroma and his Ogun State counterpart Ahmed Iliasu retained their positions. The move has, however, attracted reactions from opposition political parties. The Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, have passed a vote of no confidence on the acting police IG, Adamu Mohammed, accusing him of being manipulated by the ruling All Progressives Congress, while the People's Democratic Party described the shake-up as a ploy to use the police to rig the elections in the favor of the ruling All Progressives Congress. Well, after reacting to the redeployment of police commissioners, the CUPP has slammed some allegations on the federal government. The group say there's a plot to implicate the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, in a case of alleged gun running and perpetrating electoral violence. The coalition spokesman, Imo Oguchire, who made the allegations in a statement released on Thursday, said that the Senate President Bukola Saraki, Kogi State lawmaker Dino Melaye, and other opposition leaders are targets in the plot. In the past days, the CUPP has made a series of allegations against the federal government, one of which is the forced resignation of suspended Chief Justice Walter Onoen. And now to politics. President Muhammadu Buhari will be taking his re-election campaign to Lagos State, southwest Nigeria on Saturday, February 9th, 2019. The president's visit was announced by the Lagos State government, who says it will afford him the opportunity to meet with residents and share with them his plans and programs if re-elected into office. Well ahead of that visit, the Lagos State Transport Committee says it will be closing 18 major roads in Lagos. It is now advising members of the public to take alternative routes to ensure that all those who will not be at the venue of the campaign do not get stuck in traffic on routes that will be affected. President Buhari plans to visit every state of the Federation to promote his re-election bid. Well ahead of the president's visit to Lagos, some clerics from both the Christian and Islamic faith have declared Buhari as Nigeria's next president. The clerics who converged on the Unity Fountain in Abuja under the banner of the National Interfaith and Religious Organizations marched through the central area of the city in what they called a prophetic walk to declare God's intention for Nigeria.
We have been led by the Spirit to hold a 40 days of prayer and fasting in the course of this exercise. Undertaken on behalf of the nation, it was revealed to us that President Buhari is God's anointed to lead Nigeria to greater height. The Lord revealed to us concerning Nigeria that Philippians chapter 1 verse 6, being confident of this, that he who will begin a good work in you will continue to perfect it until the day of our Lord Jesus Christ. It is in similar fashion that we come to the realization that President Muhammadu Buhari, who began many good things in the interests of Nigeria, will continue to improve of the good things he is doing for the country this second term in office as ordained by God. We subsequently relayed the message to Nigerians that not to disrupt the flow of God's blessing to the land, which required that the person already anointed to lead the country in the person of President Muhammadu Buhari is allowed to continue the running era God have sent him.
And still on electoral matters, the Military High Command has warned that it would arrest any military personnel not on essential duty found in uniform close to any polling unit across Nigeria. This was announced at a press conference on the conduct of military personnel during the forthcoming elections. The army maintained that though military officers are allowed to exercise their civic duties of voting for their choice candidates, they ought to remain apolitical in the operations.
Any military personnel who is not on essential duty that is found on military uniform on election day will be arrested and face the full wrath of military justice system. We would like to caution that anyone caught, be they serving or retired military personnel or civilians, no matter highly placed, will be arrested and treated in accordance with the extant laws of the land. The Armed Forces of Nigeria is prepared to support the civil authority in ensuring the conduct of free, fair, and credible elections by providing security support services when requested by appropriate civil authority in line with our constitutional rules.
As if it was the first time that such an allowance was being paid. And to clarify that issue, we stated that it started way back since 2016 and it's an annual thing. And we realized it creates a lot of disaffection because operation is operation. It is not just necessarily those in the Northeast alone. All other Nigerian soldiers are also virtually in one internal security operation or the other. Therefore, it was extended to all those officers and soldiers on operations.
You're watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll be right back with more. Do stay with us.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
You're welcome back, and we're here to talk business with Fidelia Aguncha. Hello, Fidelia.
Hi, Annetta.
So I hear the NNPC is set to expand its commercial operations in the oil and gas sector. Tell me just how they plan to do that.
Well, President Muhammadu Buhari has announced that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, will soon commence drilling for a deeper search for oil and gas in the Benue Trough. Well, this is said is the next step following the commencement of drilling in the Komani River area located within Bauchi and Gombe State. The president made the announcement while addressing traditional rulers at the government house in Makurdi in Benue State. He said for mostly commercial reasons, investment was directed to the Niger Delta, given the promise of quicker results. Well, MTN Nigeria has said it will list on the Nigeria Stock Exchange by way of introduction in the first half of 2019. The President and Chief Executive Officer of MTN Group, Rob Shotter, disclosed this at the MTN Group's Investors Update conference call, saying the move would enable the company get listed easily. He explained that the initial phase, the company will be listed without any public offering. MTN is Africa's biggest telecommunication company, headquartered in South Africa. Well, let's now take a look at the stock market performance for today after this. Well, it has been a productive week for the Nigeria Stock Exchange as the market for the fourth straight day closed in the positive territory. Well, despite the air of political uncertainty, investors' confidence remained high as the market climbed by 1.98%, pushing the all-share index up by a whopping 612 points, which translates to a 229 billion naira boost in market value. Let's now take a look at the top gainers chart right here. Well, topping the gainers chart yet again is Nestle, as we can see right here, but this time it is appreciating by 10 naira, which is 30 digits lower than the gain recorded yesterday, which was 40 naira. Well, Guarantee Trust Bank is once again representing the sector, that is the banking sector, on this chart, as sustained investors' interest gave it a 3.3 naira rise. Well, coming in fourth, as we can see right here, is Dangote Cement recording its first gain in 2 days, and that's a 2 naira rise in its share price. Well, it's to the losers chart. Let's look at them. It was, however, not so much of a good day for Konoy, which leads to today's percentage laggard with a 25 naira drop in value. Also making the losers chart is NEM Insurance, Learn Africa, and Transfer Express, with their values dropping much more than it was yesterday. Well, in summary, the market saw a total of 4,047 deals exchange hand before the closing of trading. And moving on to the global scale, it was a negative day for all three markets. On this chart, as we can see that the FTSE is dropping by 1%, Dow by 1.42%, and the Nikkei by 0.59%. Well, it's back to Anata.
Thanks for that. And stick around, we'll be back with more.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so... Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which came up with this one now? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
The United States says it's halting some military assistance to Cameroon over allegations of gross human rights violation by security forces in the northwest, southwest, and far north regions. A State Department official said the United States had terminated the C-130 aircraft training program and halted deliveries of 4 Defender boats, 9 armored vehicles, and an upgrade of a Cessna aircraft for Cameroon's Rapid Intervention Battalion. Furthermore, the United States had withdrawn its offer for Cameroon to be part of the State Partnership Program, a military cooperation program. Let's now talk sports. The Super Eagles of Nigeria have retained their top 4 spot in Africa, but dropped 2 places to 46 in the world in the first FIFA World Rankings for the year. In the rankings released on Thursday, Nigeria also retained her 1,427 points from the previous list in December 2018. Meanwhile, Senegal retains our top spot among the African teams with 1,505 points and 24th in the world, with Tunisia following closely with 1,493 points on 28th place. And that's it from here on News Now. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.